Welcome to the broadcast, my dears. I've just sat down to record and I can hear a brass instrument carrying in. Can you hear it? It's probably too faint for you to hear. Someone's practicing a trumpet or a trombone or a cornet or some such thing, which I wouldn't normally mind a little bit of, but not just as I'm about to try and focus. I've got to try and focus on this broadcast. You know, the worst situation for me would be a neighbour or someone in the surrounding area getting a loud barking dog. That's something I've never had to deal with, really. And I'm so glad of it. That would drive me to an early grave. As cute as dogs can be, and I do like dogs, but some of them do bark ferociously, don't they? And you hear them as you pass them in gardens, and I've seen YouTubers have them barking away and yapping away online in little flats that are shared with lots of people. It must drive people to distraction. I don't know how owners have the gall to do it, to be honest, to put other people through it as much as they love their dogs. But anyway, I think the trumpet has stopped, so I should get on with it, shouldn't I, my darlings? Did you see that the king has a new great seal of the realm? It's been unveiled as a symbol of sovereign authority, and traditionally it's affixed to official state documents to signify royal approval. I hadn't seen this before, but it's uniquely designed for each monarch. And the seal's design was approved by His Majesty, who entrusted it into the custody of the Lord High Chancellor during a meeting of the Privy Council. And in keeping with the centuries-old tradition, the old seal of the late Queen's was symbolically defaced by the monarch himself and preserved for historical record. This is the late Queen's, actually, this one here. Actually, when they say it was defaced, it was actually struck by a hammer by the King in the Privy Council meeting. A little moment of drama. I love the thought of that. An act signifying its destruction. The seal dates back to the 11th century, when Edward the Confessor first used such a device to create a wax casting of his face on documents. And it's made of silver, and it was struck by Royal Mint. And isn't it a grand portrayal of Charles in billowing robes? And on the other side there's an image of the royal arms. The approval of a new seal marks the final stage in the formal transition to the King's reign. Well, I should hope so too. It's been a couple of years now, hasn't it, my dears? There have been reigns shorter than this, so it's about time we had the seal of the realm. And Edward is the one who has been picked to represent the King at the inauguration of the new Pope on Sunday, the formal installation of Pope Leo XIV that's going to take place at a Mass in St. Peter's Square. And Prince Edward made a gorgeous host the other day in the gardens at Buckingham Palace for the gold holders of his Duke of Edinburgh's award. They enjoyed a glorious day. And isn't it marvellous how royal endeavours actually affect lives and make positive impact? We have another one of Catherine's that just emerged today for spring. We'll have more on that another time, her Mother Nature project. Then you have the King's Trust, what used to be the Prince's Trust, of course, the Duke of Edinburgh Awards Scheme, William's Homewards Project, Catherine's Early Years Foundation. Queen Camilla's very involved in literacy and helping women who are under distress. And of course the late Queen's great legacy was the Commonwealth itself, and the tapestry she wove, which was trashed in a trice by the Sussex duo, if you remember. Decades of diligent duty defaced and degraded by the Sussexes. And nobody is accusing Harry, at least I'm not, I should say. I'm not accusing him of not trying very hard with some of his schemes and some of his activities that have been noble and worthwhile. But having said that, there is no denying that Centre Bali, for instance, have been going through centre bollocks, haven't they? The past few months. They've been going through a few things, as some might say. Going through a few things. And as for better up, it seems that we're better off without them. And then we turn to African Parks, another one of his great schemes, who admitted this week that human rights abuses were committed by its rangers in Congo-Brazzaville, following an independent review into allegations made by the Baka community against African Parks rangers. And it's so serious, isn't it? And I know that there's been a clamour for many months now for something to be resolved in this quiz, and I'm quite sure that Harry is appalled. But hasn't he been so very quiet on this situation over the last few months? The prince who likes to talk has been keeping it rather stum on this subject, hasn't he? Well, maybe he might think twice before insinuating that there are others who do the job better than Will and Cambridge as they were, and William and Catherine Wales as they now be. Perhaps he will think twice before suggesting that other members of the royal family, in fact accusing other members, of a dilettante approach, suggesting that they clock in and clock out of various engagements to ramp up their number of engagements for appearances' sake and to appease the press, as he did in Spare. You know, this is what he suggested. Well, Harry, I don't hear their patronages complaining about Anne or about Catherine or the Gloucesters or the Kents. Do you? The criticism is like water off a duck's back for him. He has the hide of a rhino, the belligerence of a wino, so I do not expect him to take the accountability that he demands from others. Not my problem, says Harry, not my problem. You just can't get the staff these days. One just can't get the staff. Well, even if you can get the staff, Harry, they turn on you, don't they? As we saw in the case of Dr. Sophie Chandauka. Not too pleased with you. But Meghan knows what to do, of course she does, because she's an executive that knows what's key. OH, we need to have a business discussion. Our slaves, we need to talk about our slaves. I mean our staff. Our slip of the tongue. Our staff, we need to get them in when we're resourcing. We need to get them in from recommendations of our billionaire elite chums. Our humble billionaire pals. We can't just bring on anybody into Archewell and our foundation. We need to call on Tyler and Oprah and Ellen and Jeff and Lauren, all the bigwigs, and the real Big Willie. No, not your brother. Bill Gates. Bill Gates, we need to call on Bill Gates. In fact, Meghan Gates Windsor has a nice ring to it. I, Meghan, appoint thee, Sarah Fosmo, as my most senior advisor, and you better be more accommodating than that uppity Angela Kelly. Kelly watch the stars. Oh, that Angie Kelly, she was uppity. You better not be like her. She worked for that dusty old white queen. Well, there's a black queen in town, and her name is Meghan Sussex. Yes, Meghan has hired Sarah Fosmo, who is a former executive administrator at Gates Ventures under Bill Gates, and before that she worked for the motivational speaker Tony Robbins. She becomes Meghan's first chief of staff to oversee this dynamic period of growth. Keep telling yourself that, my dear. This charade continues, doesn't it? As they both cosplay as grown-ups while behaving like infants. It's embarrassing. It's truly embarrassing for anybody with a grain of sophistication in their character. As I've said before, Beyonce knows. That's not her name now, is it? Beyonce Z? What's Jay-Z's surname? Oh, yeah, it's Carter, isn't it? Let's just call her Beyonce. Beyonce is a wonderful talent. She truly is, although I didn't care for that cowboy-themed album that she did of late. No, I'm afraid no. The one before that was better. But did we really need to see the smug cozies on parade from Nutmeg and Nutter in the VIP lounge, or wherever it was, for the Cowboy Carter tour? No, we did not. Although I will give it to Harry, he does look better with the hat on. As does, I've got to say, Prince William. He looks better with the hat on too. Poor boy. About last night. Thank you, Beyonce and team, for an amazing concert and a very fun date night. A date night. All love. All love. Oh, so it's not with love. It's not as ever. It's all love. Meghan. She better not steal from me. Everybody knows that I often sign off Bright Wishes. That'll be the name of her new fragrance, won't it? She tried to steal my Keepsake idea. Now, and many, many ideas from me. Next it'll be Bright Wishes, Meghan. Well, that's mine, as is yours truly, and affection sincere. And fondest love. These are all my sign-offs. And then a sloppy kiss from a lusty prince is brandished, vulgarised by brandishing this kiss. Isn't it brazen, the way that she records the selfie? Oh, please spare us from this spare public display of affection. You might be trying to convince us that he's your Wild Bill Hickok, my dear, instead of Little Todge, but we're not buying it. And Meghan, you're a calamity, without the Jane. And as Meghan looks on at the adoring crowds, I've been wondering to myself if she's going to take a fancy to Beyonce's career and if she's going to get it into her head that she wants to become a pop star and release an album and go on tour for the popularity of it. Oh, heaven forbid, my dear. But you might see an album coming in next with a cover of We're Not Royal by Lorde. Do you remember that one, my dear? Actually, that should be their theme song, shouldn't it? Because you're not royal. You are in name, but not in character. You don't channel the royal spirit. You channel sealage. And of course, they can't wear a single garment, can they, without Archie and Lily branded into it. Archie and Lily. Then we are subjected to yet another photo of domestic bliss and harmony with the kids clinging to her, the king's grandchildren, brandished in a publicity drive. It's like one of those embarrassing grandmas that you find popping up on Facebook with the family album. Nobody cares about your snotty-nosed brood, lovey. Nobody cares. And we don't believe that you're living your best life, so stop trying to prove it to us. I'm afraid that the best lives are led away from the glare and away from the gaze of social media. Happy Mother's Day, she says. Cheers to juggling it all with joy. And to these two gems who still attempt to climb Mama Mountain, smother me with kisses and make every day the most memorable adventure. Being your mom. I thought it was mummy, my dear. I thought that's how the kids spelt it. Or are you confirming that actually it was Harry that wrote that? Being your mom is the greatest privilege of my life. Actually, my dear, I'm sorry to rebuff your schmaltz, but the greatest privilege of your life was being made ambassador of the late Queen's Commonwealth, with an opportunity to steer it and be a touch point for hundreds of millions of people within the Commonwealth throughout your life. That was the greatest privilege of it, my dear. And what did Elizabeth get for all of her trouble? A mock curtsy and a memoir. Charming, charming. I couldn't believe this, my dear, because it literally is Ellie Grace and Mama from Little Britain. That's exactly what it put me in mind of.
I do love you, Ellie Grace.
I love you too, Mom.
I too love you more than all the stars in the sky and all the raindrops.
I love you more than raindrops.
I love you more than transsexual porn.
And all the salt on all the French fries in the world.
I love you more than sugar kisses.
I love you more than Thanksgiving.
I love you more than anything. I love you more than pansies. I love you more than flower sprinkles.
I love you more than Dumbo.
I love you more than pink blossom.
I love you more than double-headed dildos.
Couldn't make it up, could you? Couldn't make it up. Well, as you'll remember, Meghan famously accused Catherine of cold frigidity. No hugs, no lip gloss, a gelid berg of ice, according to Meghan. Well, perhaps Catherine's response to you, my dear, was only frosty because of your brazen vulgarity and Harry's ineptitude. Did that ever cross your mind as a possibility? Because Catherine indulged the kiss of another Harry Richardson, that 107-year-old veteran and bomber pilot who sat next to the King at the concert last week. Did you see that? Another one surpassing his centenary, and in his second spring, another one looking quite remarkable, I've got to tell you. But these are two very different Harrys, aren't they? Prince Harry and Harry Richardson. One is a war hero and the other is a door zero. Because someone's knocking on the door. Someone's ringing the bell, and that someone is Henry Sussex. And footage has emerged from last month with a shifty figure in a concatenation of door knocking on Rumbled Road, Fulham. And it appears that the boy was frantic, knocking here, knocking there, up and down the street. What's going on? In this mysterious street, actually, because if you look it up on Google Images or Street View, it actually cuts off and you can't see the central part of the road, as if something or someone is going on in there. Ooh la la, who knows, who knows? Well, apparently he was seeking out Johnny and Georgie Vaughan, old chums of his. Which is a rarity for him these days, isn't it, my dear, to have a chum left over in London? Quite scarce, quite scarce. Well, apparently he was knocking for no one, because they no longer live there. But he wasn't privy to this information. No, they rent the place out. They rent the gaff out to Spaniards. One of the neighbours said the people he knew are long gone and moved elsewhere. Maybe they heard he was coming. So they did a runner. Well, it seems that one of Harry's old drinking dens was a local pub in the area, and the suggestion is that he dropped by after a wee dram at the local brewery. I don't know if that's true, but what I will tell you is that it seems to be very high risk for such a target as Harry insisted he is. Where's his detail, his huddle of security guards, his bulletproof vest, and his He-Man shield? Where exactly are all of these elements, Harry? Because there's no detail in view. Now, granted, they could have been out of camera shot, perhaps hidden from view, but I did notice that this spot in Fulham is just a couple of streets away from Gowan Avenue in Fulham, where the late presenter Jill Dando met a grisly end by a bullet. So nowhere is safe, and if Harry wants to try and convince everybody that he's fearing for his life, he better start putting on a bit of a better show than running around half-cut in a neighbourhood full of abandoned chums. Doesn't know where he's going. He's on his phone. Lost like a puppy without a tail. The king won't take him in. The Waleses won't take him in. This is what he has to resort to. Hasn't he ever heard of the Travel Lodge? They'll have you, Harry. You could always try Gatcombe and see what's going on with cousin Zara, while the Princess Royal is away, because she's been on royal duty in the Channel Islands, delivering a message on behalf of the King during a visit to Guernsey to mark the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Bailiwick of Jersey and the Bailiwick of Guernsey. They're British Crown dependencies, and they're oh so gorgeous, aren't they, my dear? I've only been to Jersey, but fabulous places, wonderful islands. And you've got the two Bailiwicks in the English Channel near the coast of Normandy, and the Bailiwick of Guernsey consists of Guernsey itself and also Alderney, Sark, Herm and a few smaller islands, and Her Royal Highness, accompanied by Sir Tim, spent time with Guernsey men and Guernsey women. Actually, they're known as donkeys for their stubborn character, and they mixed with the people of Sark. I don't know what Sark people are called, Sarkies? But they heard from all of those who lived through the occupation, as well as from evacuees, veterans, volunteers, and those who organised the celebrations, and also became the first member of the royal family to visit Little Sark, a peninsula at the southern end of the island with a little hamlet and an hotel and a cafe. How charming. Zara, who's another horse nut, isn't she, my dear? Crazy for horses, mad for horses, just like the late Queen and Princess Anne. Well, she was having a lot of fun at badminton horse trials, which is one of the most exciting events on the equestrian calendar, tough and testing, with a cross-country course and show jumps, and she collected her first Armada dish, which was awarded for 5 completions of the event. She was flushed with pride and merriment. Well deserved, Zara. I'm going to end with a Keepsake Kaleidoscope, so that's enough royal gossip for today. You might want to say goodbye for now and see you next time. For the rest of you who would like to meet a few fellow basketeers, here we go. And I should say, for those of you who have paid for a keepsake and are still waiting for it to arrive in the post, if it's been over 1 month since you received an email notification from us telling you that it had been sent, if it's been over 1 month since then, just let us know and get in touch with us, and we'll keep tabs on it over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Some of them do take longer than a month, actually, to arrive, especially abroad. But we'll make sure it's taken care of. Just let us know, okay? It's your responsibility to let us know if it doesn't turn up, please. But the vast majority of them have by now. This charming tableau came in from Claire, where you'll see my official portrait there. My keepsake surrounded by majesty. Isn't it charming? Yes, I love those forget-me-not cards. I sent out quite a few of them. Love forget-me-nots. They make me smile, as do the little cards with violets. You get a lot of violets from that era. And pansies. We've seen some with pansies, haven't we? And this one from Angelica, who said, "Dear Miss Fairfax, the keepsake arrived, and I am positively beside myself with delight. The mystical purple envelope was opened with great ceremony, and what lay within brought both laughter and reverence. It shall be cherished as a memento of mirthful hours spent in the golden orchard of the broadcast, and I shall endeavour to channel the noble spirit of the basketeers in all my doings henceforth." Thank you, Angelica. Jenny provided this splendid display with spring blooms under an atmospheric painting in fiery tones of red and amber. Isn't it cosy? I should think that's very warming to have in the autumn season. Lovely. Mitzi Crabtree says, my envelope arrived today, and I must say not only was I pleased, but one of your items meant something to me on a personal level. An antique greeting card mentioning St. Catherine and picturing a black cat. Yes, and that was a hand-drawn or painted little illustration there of a black cat, I think, wasn't it, my dear? So a lovely one there. I'm a volunteer writer for the Cat Fanciers Association magazine. Cool, blimey, cat fanciers, I ask you. And one of my last articles was about St. Gertrude, patron saint of cats. My photo shows your sweet face alongside a purse owned by Jane Mansfield, and scarves and a framed clover owned by Liz Taylor. How fancy. And Mitzi tells me that she has a great love of the feline and of Britain, and you can see a few shots of articles she's written here for the magazine. And she's going to be in the South Coast in July, the South Coast here in the Kingdom, for a charity event. Well, I hope you have a splendid time, my dear, and I hope there's sunshine for you, even though it drives me mad. I hope you get some nice weather. This one is from Sarah in Australia, and she's an admirer and a keeper of birds, which is why she received some antique mementos reflecting on her passion for the feathered friends. And Lady Jean says, what a glorious day it was when I returned home from a long trip and my husband said, you've got something very special. Oh, did he, my dear? Your husband knows what's what. I'm sure you have. He pointed to the envelope holding your keepsake. Ah, it was something special indeed. I was struck with goosebumps and couldn't be more pleased. And you've put it in a huge frame, my dear. Gorgeous. It quite dwarfs the portrait, doesn't it? But it's fabulous. Fabulous. And I notice that you've got the same cup as me, King Charles's coronation cup there, haven't you? The blue one, which I do use. But shall I tell you, my dear, what I've been using it as? I use it as a bain-marie for my chocolate pudding that I have in the night. In the evening, I have a little chocolate mousse, which has got caramel in it and some little crunchy bits on top. Really nice. And it comes in this little plastic thing, and I dip it into some hot water because it's just the right size to hold it and melt it, because it comes frozen and I take it out the fridge, but I like to melt it and get it a bit warmer and defrost it a bit more. That's what I'm trying to say. So I have my own little bain-marie, and, and I use, for a cloche on the top of it, the lid of my hot chocolate maker by Hotel Chocolat, and I leave it in there for a few minutes and it becomes all unctuous and a little bit more gooey. And that's my one naughty moment every evening. I'm never ever naughty any other time in any other way in my life, aside from my mousse chocolat bain-marie. Do you understand? Never, never naughty. Not me. Pas moi. Pas moi. No, 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 mademoiselle. Pas moi. I'm an innocent rose. Too pure to be pink. I'm Catherine's rose. Ah, who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? I'm a slut. Melanie, with a tableau of your very pretty souvenirs here. Actually, one of these looks like Catherine's rose, doesn't it? I love the colours, by the way, of those thistles or whatever they are surrounding the Old Lang Syne memento. Mauves, lavender, green, gold. Those it must be perhaps Scottish. This card I can't remember, but heathery, thistles, this kind of thing. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Vicky says, I have stood you up with my Hogarth. Gin Lane. Oh, how fabulous, Vicky. Gin Lane sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? A lot more fun than London is in some ways these days. Yeah, wouldn't mind. Just one evening in Gin Lane. Might be a bit too much for more than one evening, but looks like a lot of fun. And is that on the steps there? Is that the Duchess of Sussex? Looks like Meghan and Lily. Well, if you'd like to join me in Gin Lane, then you can be my tonic by treating me to a gin and visiting my tip jar in the description box. But if you don't wish to do that, never fear, because leaving the broadcast with a smile on your face is reward enough for me. So I will see you in the next broadcast. Take care and toodle pip.